Oh, Candy, that's lovely. Thank you so much for coming, as usual. It's a pleasure to see you. Can I hear you?
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Sorry, I was
Oh,
mute. I was on
oh,
mute.
okay. That's terrific. So you're online now. Candy, but everybody knows who you are, of course. But for those who've been living under a stone, please introduce yourself very briefly, and
Well,
let them know who you are.
I am Candy. I am actually on Kiki's Chat. I have a show every Wednesday, and I
Great.
talk about things pertaining to women, children, Black people especially. And it is all to raise our morale, to empower, to help, to aid, to bring to the fore anything at all that needs to be discussed.
Okay.
So
Now,
that's what I am. And Priscilla is a friend of mine, actually. So
well,
we've
you
worked.
probably well, you should get to know all the people on the stream because they're all
I should.
wonderful people, one way
I
or
should.
another.
I
Now,
should.
Candy, tell me when. First of all, did you watch the video?
I didn't watch all of it because I found it very difficult to watch. But I did see the guy with his hand in his pocket enjoying the ride on George Floyd's neck. And I just couldn't believe it. It was just so harrowing and so shocking that I just couldn't carry on watching. So I'm one of those people who never saw how he was carried away, how it all ended. I couldn't watch it. I just could not watch it. And every time it came on, I would do something
Flip,
else. I just
flip,
couldn't cope.
flip the channel or whatever. I see. So what did you learn from the manner in which Floyd was killed, and b the resulting kind of social uproar surrounding it? Because Black people have been killed for hundreds of years in America, and nobody gave a damn. This time, this one Black person is filmed being killed, and it spreads to 50 countries around the world with pictures of slavery billionaires being tossed into the river in Bristol here in the United Kingdom. Um, what did you learn from all of that?
What I learned is that if it is in your face to the point where, as you said, Black people are being killed, but they've been killed for centuries, they've been taken into slavery, they've been subjected to all sorts of horrors. But it's all either news that it's an after, you hear it after it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
However, this was right in our face. It was happening. The whole death was unfolding in front of us, live on television. Somebody was showing it happening. And for some people, for Black people, it was painful to see. For white people, some of them, it was embarrassing to be confronted with it so vividly that I think it changed the balance of people's view. And when I say people, I'm talking about white people, because for us Black people, this is a constant. This is something that happens on children are killed. And, he has a toy gun, he's playing in his own garden, he's shot. People are, this happens all the time, but something happened to people's psyche. Now, you must remember, though, that this is a time when we were all under lockdown. Everyone was at home. Everyone was watching the news, the television. So it was in our faces. We could see it right there. And it was horrible.
Yeah, sure. See, one of the interesting things, and Anya mentioned this as well, was that I felt that on account of the lockdown and the consent, there was a lot of fear going on at the time about this awful virus. Nobody knew which way it was going to go. In Britain, we were being told about Nightingale hospitals and how the NHS could possibly be swamped. At that time, there was no vaccine in sight. So everybody was key to quite a level of anxiety and fear. And it seemed to me at the time that this was the first time white folk had ever been at that level of personal risk and threat to their security. And it just made me feel as if, on account of that, to a great degree, suddenly they could empathize with other people
Oh,
who
yes.
felt at
Oh,
risk and threatened and so on and so forth. So all of a sudden, that was a huge igniter of their response. What do you make of that?
No, exactly what you said. I mean, they were confronted with it at a time when they themselves were vulnerable. Now, I mean, if everyone was healthy and getting on with their life, they couldn't even pretend that they didn't see it. But then, where were you? You were there. You were watching the telly. You were at home. You were in lockdown. Where were you watching? So it was something which was stark. It was there in their face. And that's the difference. That is the difference with this case. However, with your long question, whilst we've all seen it, whilst it's in everyone's face, in every race, color, creed, what it also demonstrates to me is that these things are still happening. You know, there are people who have the community spirit, who will kind of come out and scream and shout and, you know, in consternation about this. But then, you know, there are those who, after a while, it wears away. They go back to their normal because Black people are being killed all the time. I have an issue where the American president, for example, comes out this week and says, you know, in a statement, there has been no protest, there has been nothing said, there have been no 100 million people, men marches, there have been nothing. And he has quickly said that he is passing a law against people attacking Asians. Is there a law against people attacking Black people? No. Is there? Is there one that I don't know about that somebody wants to educate me on it? Therefore, I just think it was, you know, in the crest of a wave, something was happening. We all saw it. Some were embarrassed, this, that, and the other. Nothing has changed. I mean, I watched the court case where Derek Chauvin, the guy who had his knee on George Floyd's neck.
Yeah, the murderer.
And the shock in his eyes, the way his eyes were darting about, looking to see if anyone else was, is this true? Are they you know, he may have thought that he was going to go into prison for 9 months and come back and lead a normal life. You know, so even that demonstrated to me that although he was in trouble at that time, he was just being used at that moment, and that life was going to go back to normal, and it has. Police are still killing people. Police are killing people for traffic.
It just didn't go back to normal for him. It just didn't go back to normal for him.
It didn't go back to normal for him. And, you know, it then brings you to another thing, which for the Christians and the religious people will say that there are certain people on this earth that if you did something to them, your retribution is swift. And that is what has happened to the person who killed George Floyd. That was his start. That is what he came with. That was what he was coming to do on this earth. The rest of them are going to be killed because it's not their star. That is how I see it.
That's interesting. Well, of course, I mean, you're entitled to your religious views on that one. But Candy, what do you expect now to happen? I mean, what you're saying is that actually we're back to business as usual. Black kids are being shot and killed in traffic stops, and so on. And actually, the rate of police killings haven't gone down. There's an American organization that monitors these things, and it kind of averages between 1,000 and 1,150 per annum. And the proportions of whites, Native Americans, actually, Native Americans are even more likely to be killed by the police, 3 times more likely than white people. For Black folk, it's 2.6 times more likely to be shot by the police as white people. So what do you think the future holds, Candy?
Unless a bold act is passed in America, all of the Western world, unless something is addressed, nothing will change. Now, marches have been had, people have complained, groups have been, everything. Black Lives Matter has come out. Everything is happening, and yet nothing has really changed. And anyone who are on these marches and people who are making these noises are being labeled as troublemakers. And continually, the press, the media, social media, the trolls, all of these people are boldly making statements, abusing, denigrating. Where do you think this is going to go? I don't know. I think that society is a very dangerous. Look, racism is more dangerous than the coronavirus.
Right.
This is how I see it.
Right. That's a fascinating statement. Look, Candy, with that, I'm going to end it here. And it's a shame Onya seems to have left, but I'm going to bring the rest of our guests back with us into the studio. It's a real shame that Onya has gone. Umutomi, Priscilla, you've heard the conversation we've had so far this evening. What are you taking out of it all?
Well, for me, I think it's such a shame that we've not seen much changes. But then the change isn't going to come by just society. In order for us to see real change, we need governments to come on board. Just as Candy said there, with the new administration in the US, there's a law that has been made concerning Asians, but we don't see such being made concerning people of African descent.
Right.
So that's the kind of step that's needed for us to see true change. I'm not excited, and I don't, so even with the current, we're waiting for the sentence, right? And I'm not excited. It may be a disappointment at the end of the day, but for me, true change will happen when we see governments also taking those steps,
stepping up and batting. Umutoni, what's your take on all of the conversation that you've heard so far tonight?
Yeah, I agree with Priscilla. With regards to the sentencing is yet to be completed. Again, also not holding my breath. Don't know what that will look like, and it's a tough question to answer, to be completely honest. I mean, we have to be hopeful as a community, but I think it really is about us coming together, coming together, helping each other as much as possible. There isn't much hope, I would say, with regards to relying on government bodies, on police to protect us. I think it's very heartbreaking to know that George Floyd did die at the hand of police who are in place to protect us, right? That is a very heartbreaking reality, and something that just really does question if that is something that has happened and it continues to happen, and there's numerous examples that haven't been captured on video. What does that mean for us as a society? And where should we really put our faith? But ultimately, I do believe there will be progress. It will take some time. Trying to find the solutions myself, to be honest.
Okay, terrific. Look, final word, Candy.
I think that the police they are here to serve and protect the white people of each country, each Western world. The police were set up really in the time of slavery to catch black people, to the runaways, to control black people. There was nothing. They were not here. They're not set up to protect Black people. Black people are the ones that they're supposed to be catching and throwing into jail, etc., etc. So,
and killing occasionally, yes.
yeah, and killing if need be. You don't, bring him back dead or alive. That's what the whole thing was about. So unless the police begin to change their concept, this is not going to change. And it's the police, really. They're the ones they're the perpetrators. So they need to do something.
Thank you very much. Umutoni, Priscilla, Candy, and earlier with Onyekachi, who made some lovely points as well. Thanks very much for joining me on this broadcast. And please go and see it on YouTube, like it, share it, and comment as you like. Thank you very much, and to all our guests as well for watching us. And we're out. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Good night, ladies. Thank you.
Bye.
Night. Night and bye.
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 Bye. Bye.